Welcome, applied calculators. In this screencast, we take a look at interest. It's compound interest today. So let's deal with how our money makes money. And we deal with compound interest by first looking at simple interest. Simple interest is the idea that we invest some amount of money. That's the principal. Some amount of money, the amount of money that we bring to the bank and we put in the bank, times some interest rate over some length of time, usually measured in years. So if we bring $4,000 to the bank and we invest it at 4% for 4 years, then the interest that one makes on that is $4,000 times 0.04 times 4, whatever that is. That's, that's got to be like $640 or something like that. That feels big. Nope, that's definitely right. $640 in interest. But what turns it from simple interest to compound interest is this idea. We're going to leave the money in the bank for a while, and we want an incentive for our money to remain in the bank. And so what the bank does is they say every so often we're going to come by and we're going to do this compounding thing. We're going to, every year on the anniversary that your money shows up, we're going to come over and we're going to say, how much money do you have? We'll pay you interest on that money, and we're going to put it right back into the account. So what does that look like if the interest is compounded? Well, let's say that we compound yearly. So you take that $4,000 and you invest it at 4%, and you do that for 4 years. Well, what really happens? Well, at the end of the first year, you have $4,000 at 4%. That's $160. To compound the interest means that the bank adds that $160 to your account, so that in the second year you have $4,160, and that gets the 4%. Well, what's that? Well, that's $166.40. And then the bank adds that money on, so that at the end of the third year, it's not $4,000, it's not $4,160, it's $4,326.40 that gets the 4%. And your calculator can tell you that gives you $173.06 in interest, which the bank then reinvests in your account. And so that's, oh boy, I haven't used that there. So that's, oh boy, so wait a second. What is that? We add that on. I can do this. That's $4,499.46 that gets the 4%. And that's $179.98. So that at the end of the 4 years, you have $4,679.44 total. Your interest has been compounded. Now, that's a lot of work, and we can simplify that mathematically. We can say we're investing $4,000. Now, this 0.04 is multiplied there, and then we add it back on. Well, if you take 0.04 of something and you add it back onto the 1, that's 1.04, and we do that 4 times. That's going to generate the same $4,679.44. We take our principal, we multiply it by 1 plus the rate to the number of years. This is compounding yearly. But other banks may decide that we could compound more often. And if we compound more often, maybe that makes more money. Maybe we can generate more income this way. So again, we're going to invest $4,000 for 4 years at a 4% annual percentage rate. But when we compound quarterly, what does that mean? Well, this 4% is a yearly rate, but if we compound 4 times a year, we're not compounding 4%, we're compounding a quarter of this. So we would normally take our $4,000 and multiply it by 1 plus 0.04 to the 4, but that's not what's happening, because 4% would be the interest rate over a whole year, and we're compounding every quarter. So we're really only compounding 1% every quarter. Now, if you compound 1% 4 times a year, that's about 4%, but it's 4% annual, compounded quarterly. So we take the annual interest rate and divide by the number of compoundings in a year. Now this 4 was the number of times we compounded when we compounded every year. But here we're compounding 4 times a year. So it's 4 years, but 4 compoundings per year. This is $4,000 at a 4% annual interest rate, compounded quarterly. Well, over 4 years, that happens 16 times. Now that gives us slightly more money. That gives us $4,690.31. Slightly more money. In the compounding yearly, we had $4,679.44. So we make about 11 extra dollars by compounding quarterly. And that's what most banks and credit unions do. Some banks and credit unions may decide, well, let's compound every month. I mean, if going from once a year to 4 times a year was good, maybe going from 4 times a year to 12 times a year would be even better. Well, it's still a $4,000 investment. It's still a 4% interest rate, but now we're compounding every month, which means we take that 4%, we divide it by the number of months in a year, because this is a monthly interest rate. And then what's the power? Well, we're going to do it for 4 years, but that means 48 compoundings. That's 48 compounding. This is the number of times we compound. How much is that? Well, that's only a little bit more money, $4,692.79, which is why most banks compound quarterly, because you don't get much more money if you compound every month. But there is a principle, and this principle is the more frequently you can compound, the more money there is to be made, even if ever so slightly. And that brings us to something that your author talks about, which is this idea of compounding continuously. And if we compound continuously, then the amount of money in the account after T years is the principal times the number E to the rate times time. Or in our case, let's go with this kind of green. We would take our $4,000. It's a 4% interest rate over 4 years. And our calculator would be able to tell us that this is $4,694.04, which is not much more money if we compound every moment of every minute of every hour of every day for those 4 years. That's not much more money than it was just to compound every month, and it's not much more money than it would have been if we compounded only 4 times a year. So you want to be aware of this formula, and you want to know how to use these formulas, and this combines with the stuff that you're reading to help you understand the lesson on compound interest. I hope you'll take time to work through the questions on the watch page and in the discussion, and I'll see you when we gather in class.